The weirdest thing happened to me yesterday during that front squat PR 175 rep. Never had this happen before. So I got bilateral or both of my biceps cramped up right in the middle of that up portion of the front squat. The concentric portion, right exactly in the kitchen of the worst part of the lift. I just felt both of my biceps just contract. And basically until I got to the top, until I kind of relaxed my arms, the cramp was there. One of you guys in the comments said, actually a few of you guys in the comments said that one of the heads of the biceps contributes to shoulder flexion, which I didn't know. I honestly didn't know at the time. When it hit me, I was like, man, I got to stand up real quick because I don't know what the hell's going on with my arms, man. It's freaking uncomfortable. So I looked it up, and the long head, if I'm not mistaken, the long head of the biceps crosses the shoulder joint and basically contributes to shoulder flexion. There's three muscles, if I'm not mistaken. There's the anterior deltoid. There's one that's kind of hard freaking pronounce. It's called the caracal brachialis or something like that. It's just kind of like a bicep muscle that originates at the process of the scapula and then kind of hits you kind of mid humerus. And then there's this long head of the biceps. So the biceps actually are more complicated muscle that I was aware of, right? I wasn't aware that this is the thing, right? But the biceps do have some sort of action at the shoulder joint. They flex the shoulder. When you are in a front rack position in a front squat, like we said, like I've been saying the last few days, and a lot of you guys have also written in the comments, the majority of the trouble is not pushing with the legs. The majority of us are struggling to keep the torso upright, struggling with the front rack position. Same with me. When I get down into the squat with 175 kilos, I know my legs can take it. I know I can push this thing up. But I need to push in such a way that keeps my torso upright. Because for every degree that I let the torso fall forward adds an astronomical amount of force required to be overcome by my upper back, by this, lifting of the elbows, lifting of the head. Like it just all gets multiplied by like a million, it seems. And so in that rep 175 yesterday, I get down and, the weight's heavy enough that I need to basically use a lot of my force through my legs. But that requires me to lean forward because that's where I'm strongest. So it's kind of like a seesaw battle between how much legs do I need and how much upper back strength do I have. Because if I favor the leg pushing more, then all of a sudden the seesaw kind of goes to the other side and, the upper back needs to get hammered really hard. So during that middle portion of that front squat, or coming up on the concentric portion, I'm there driving my elbows as hard as I could, because I know that that's what's going to keep this rep from failing. So as I was doing that, boom, both biceps lock up, and I'm like, while you are pushing as hard as you can, you're in a fight mode, right? But then the stimulus of the cramp started overriding everything. And I was like, man, I got to stand. I don't know what's going on. I thought about dropping it, went up. So now, today, I've come in and I'm like, okay, let me just warm up my biceps because my right bicep kind of feels a little bit, not strained, but kind of feels a little funny. And so today I was like, let me just warm up the biceps. Let me put some blood in them. So I ended up doing, you'll see already, I'm supersetting some of these front squats with these bicep curls. I'm thinking, okay, let me see if just put some blood in there. Maybe they'll relax. Maybe I will improve that shoulder flexion mobility. And I was just kind of playing around. Today was just like a experimental play session at the gym. So I did that, and I kind of felt easier to front rack. It felt easier to front rack, although I was still kind of weak compared to yesterday because of the one rep max, thing that happened yesterday. So I'm kind of weakened in the upper back and legs and all of that. But I have a feeling that doing some sort of direct bicep work makes you a little bit better under the bar with the front rack position. So I did that, worked up to 160, hit that for a single, and then I'm sitting there talking to a fella at the gym as well, and we're kind of brainstorming these ideas, and we sort of kind of started talking about lats as well. Like one of the restrictors of shoulder flexion is the lats, because the lats want to bring your elbow down, right? So then I thought, okay, let me do another rep of 160, but this time I'm going to put in a few sets of just neutral grip chin-ups. I just want to put the lats on the map, stretch them, And so I did that and then went back to 160. I hit that again, and I was kind of comparing notes in my mind, looking at the videos to see how I fared. Obviously, this is just a thought experiment. It's not a scientific experiment or anything like that, but I'm just kind of trying to feel what kind of felt better. The rep that I had bicep pump, or the rep that I had kind of like a bit of a lat pump, just exploring these ideas. Automatically, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you need both. You need the lats to release, and you need the shoulder flexors to be strong. Because the whole idea is for you to drive your elbows up. So if you can improve that range of motion just passively by driving your elbows up, when you're in the front rack position, it's going to be easier for you to fight that weight, that force. Ultimately, I think that's one part of the problem. The other part of the problem is staying upright. Trusting your quads to do the work and staying away from the glutes to do the work when you are pushing out of the front squat. My intuition, like I said, is to use my glutes. So you need to go away from your hips and into your knees with the front squat. Because if you let the glutes drive the pushing of the legs or extending of your hips or whatever you want to call it, you'll drop the bar. Because if glutes are pushing, that means you're leaning over, and that means you're dropping the bar. So this is the trouble with the front squats. A lot of us feel we have enough strength in the lower body. It's just the upper body that gets demolished. And that's kind of like a domino effect of which muscles you're using to squat, essentially. This is the difference between a back squat and a front squat. You need to stay in your quads. You need to stay upright. You need to stay in that dorsiflex position, because all of those things are going to make the upper portion, the upper body portion of the lift a lot easier. So this is what's in my mind last few days. I think the bottom line is that if you have really strong quads, and those are your primary movers when it comes to squatting, you're going to find it easier for your upper back because you're going to be more upright. But if you're somebody that likes to sit back, kind of like me, likes to sit back and use the glutes, you're going to find it extremely difficult to front squat, because glutes and front squats don't really mix, because then you are compounding the issue at the top, on the upper body and the elbows and the upper back and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of like the chicken or the egg, but I think the case here is you have to get your quads stronger. You get your quads stronger, you're going to be more connected to your quads, you're going to trust your quads more, therefore you're going to stay more upright in the front squat. So it's kind of like you don't want to spend too much energy working on your upper back, although it's very important, because it's sort of like it's a symptom and not the cause of what's happening. Because ideally, if you are perfectly upright like Lou, like Tian Tao, like some of these guys who are just genetically gifted for the damn sport of Olympic weightlifting. So they squat exactly upright. So the force that their upper back needs to overcome is a lot less than I have to overcome, respectively speaking and comparatively, because they have no forward lean. So for somebody that has no forward lean, they don't have to work so hard on the upper back. Still, the upper back is going to get worked, obviously, but to a lesser degree compared to somebody that's got the lean in the front squat. So it's one of those things. You don't want to spend too much of your recovery smashing the upper back when it's only a symptom. You want to treat the cause of the problem. What is the cause of the problem? This is something that, if you're thinking about health and fitness and medicine and all of that stuff, I mean, that's a completely different conversation to have. But most of medicine, Western medicine, is geared towards treating symptoms. And this is a business, because you're always going to have symptoms if you don't treat the cause. Treating the cause, will remove the symptoms, right? But unfortunately, a lot of us go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, here, I'll hook you up with some symptom control, rather than let's talk about what's actually causing this stuff. Anyway, so the cause of all of this is quad strength. You need to improve your quad strength, and that in turn is going to make it easier for your upper back to survive the forces. So it's kind of like, that's why I think it's like a seesaw battle. For every degree that you lean, compounds the problem of the top by 2. So it's like, be very, very sparing with how much you want to lean. And if you look at all the best front squatters, they are freaking upright, man. automatically, of course, I can use weightlifting shoes. And I've seen Olympic weightlifting shoes customized with even more elevation. So they put like, I don't know what they do. They screw in these extra wooden blocks underneath an already elevated heel. So it's kind of like they're in male version of a damn stiletto. Of course, that's going to have you completely upright and it's going to remove the need for a strong upper back. So that's always one. But my kind of take on all of this is that if I just get my quads stronger, it's going to make the leg portion easier on the quads. The quads are going to be strong enough, because when we get in trouble, it depends on who you are and your leverages. But when I get in trouble, I just want to lean over and kind of do a deadlift motion, because a deadlift is stronger than my squat. So that body position is where I want to be when things get gnarly, when things get really difficult. But the front squat punishes you for that. Be very, very careful of the lean. Be scared of the lean. Guys, that's all I got for today. Just a brain wave of thinking experiment today. Thank you everyone for the comments. Obviously, I get all of these ideas and I get educated a lot of times in the comments, also Instagram DMs as well. And obviously, thank you to everyone on Patreon as always. Appreciate all of you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.